today is our opening of our museum. It's been a 3.5-year project, and all the members are all excited about making this happen today. So we've all chipped in and they've worked really, really hard. We bought this clubhouse 11, 12 years ago. This originally was an indoor cricket stadium, and the upstairs was the clubhouse, and that was a gymnasium. So we got it and joined the two buildings together, and we've converted it to what it is today. This originally started by our First Life member, Keith and Val Montague. This is the first thing we developed, a fascia of a 1950s servo with all its windmill and trees and cars and memorabilia inside. And then we've built this 1950s diner up the other end here, a replica of an American diner. Then we put the mezzanine floors in to store all the motorbikes and all the other memorabilia. We've got things from clubs that were in the area in the past. We had a speedway here in the 70s. We've also got here a 1913 trophy, original trophy for a hill climb that was held in the main street of Cooma, and it was run up the main street of Cooma up towards the Snowy Mountains in 1913, and that event was put on by the Presbyterian Church as a fundraiser. Now that trophy and all the information about that is here today on display. It's just great to see everybody out and about again. That's the best part of today. And our official opening by our Life member, Rossi Johnson, he turned 90 last Friday, and he's all excited about unveiling the plaque for the official opening of our museum.
When we bought this was actually a counter along here. When we first got it, we came down and had a look at it, and we thought, right, this is where we put the cars. And we looked at this and thought, gee, we could have a little cafe down here. So it started off as a cafe, and then we just changed, and we thought, well, if we're going to build a cafe, why don't we get into period with it and do a diner? So that's how it evolved from there. And as we've gone along, we've just added things, the jukebox, the pinball machine. All the furniture is genuine 60s, 50s, 60s furniture from America, fully imported from there. The neon sign is a genuine neon sign, so we're trying to keep it as genuine as possible.
Most of the vehicles here, in fact all of the vehicles here, have a unique aspect about them in some way, shape or form. This 1944 Jeep is no exception. It's got a rather interesting history in that it was assembled in Sydney in 1944 and it went to Borneo for 3 months just before the war ended. And then it was allocated to Tasmania. When in 1954, when the Queen visited, she took the salute from the troops, and they wanted a vehicle to bring the stairs out for the Queen to, and this Jeep was selected for it. However, to get the chairs to fit, the Army very hurriedly cut the thing in half. They put a square back on it, and overnight, literally converted it from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, and did a very poor job of it. They then put it into storage, and it was sold in 1966. The last of the two remaining vehicles owned by the Commonwealth was sold in 1966. I think they sold it for about £50, and it ended up with a road construction crew for many years who abused it something terribly. However, my father used to march behind it every Anzac Day, which he did for many, many years. And he became terminally ill, and his oncologist said he needs a couple of projects. So he said, I've always wanted to own a Jeep. So the hunt was on, we tracked it down, and we were able to talk the guy that owned it into selling the Jeep to the family. And Dad then spent 2 years in rebuilding it. And in fact, the very last thing he did was to thread this rubber around the windscreen. It took him 2 weeks to do it. He could only do about 10 minutes a day, and he died a week after finishing the job. So it's now been driven all through the Victorian high country, through the Dewar National Park. A really fabulous vehicle, but it's also extremely unique. It's still carrying its Tasmanian livery. But yes, the Queen stood in the back of it in 1954.
This is a 2007 Shelby GT Mustang. It is one of 2 editions of the world. We were actually looking for a different vehicle, and what happened in the end is that after searching around, this popped up, and it just so happened to be when the GFC hit in America. So everyone was just trying to get rid of all their classic cars and not so classic cars as well. And so yeah, we ended up contacting the guy who had it for sale. So he was the one who actually won the raffle. So the second one was the first one was auctioned off, and the second one was raffled off. So we contacted the guy who raffled, and then ended up purchasing it off him.
It's a 1964 EH Holden. The EH Holden at the time was the fastest selling Holden. It ran from August 1963 to, the model ran from August 1963 to February 1965, and there was 256,959 built. At the time it was the fastest selling Holden to date. So it was very popular, and its main popularity was because it came out with a new red engine, which was much more powerful than its predecessor had. I just like the model because of that fact, and I like the look of them, and I just like the 60s car era.
This is the Volvo 122S. I've had it for about 5 years. The person I bought it from had the misfortune to lose a leg, so he couldn't drive it, so I was able to snap it up, and I use it for club events and tours. It keeps up with modern traffic pretty easily and doesn't break down yet, or very often. Interesting thing about it, that these were the first cars to have standard lap sash seatbelt.
And this is my wife and my 1960 Chevrolet Corvettes. They're fairly unique, and there's not many of them in Australia. There's only 350 made in this colour combination, so it's a bit rare, and everywhere you go people give you the big thumbs up or the wave and the smile, so it's just nice to drive around, and everyone loves a Corvette.
This is one of the cars that I have that I go off on runs with Coombe Car Club, and also when a hill climb event comes up, I like to get the car out and have the hill climb day. It's a pretty unusual vehicle, I suppose. It uses a space frame as the chassis for the car, so it has a Holden 6-cylinder engine in it, Holden brakes and cross member and various other Holden components. It has an Indianapolis replica body. One body was imported from the States some years ago, and then 7 cars have been produced, exactly replicas of this one. And this is the only registered road car. It's fun to drive, it's very confronting, I suppose. It's definitely a Sunday car, I guess, and it's not used all the time, but if there's an opportunity to go to Coombe, I live in Nevertibel, if there's an opportunity, then sometimes I can go and pick up some of my work materials when required and enjoy the day. Unless it's raining, of course.
hopefully when we get the rest of the finishing touches, it's going to be a great asset to Snowy Monaro and Cooma and the Cooma community. The cars are just the glue that hold all this together, and it's about friendship and being involved. I mean, they pay me out because I'm a bit of a Chrysler nut and I like the Chryslers, but we accept everybody in this club, and we've got all sorts of cars. As long as they're 30 years old, we'll take anything, cars, motorbikes, and it's the people we want, and that's really happening so well here today.